Dr. Maya Collins pressed her gloved hand against the smooth crystal wall and felt a slight vibration running through it. The ancient structure hummed with energy that had been stored for millions of years. She stepped back and adjusted her helmet's light to get a better view of the massive chamber around her. The ruins on Kepler 442b stretched for miles beneath the planet's frozen surface. Maya had been studying dead civilizations for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The crystalline towers and geometric patterns carved into the walls suggested a level of technology far beyond what humans had achieved. "Maya, are you getting this?" Captain Jake Morrison's voice crackled through her comm system. He was back on the research ship Phoenix Dawn, watching her exploration through the camera mounted on her suit. "The preservation is incredible," Maya replied, running her scanner over a series of symbols etched into the crystal. "These structures have been here for at least 3 million years, but they look like they were built yesterday." She moved deeper into the chamber, following a pathway that seemed to lead toward the center of the complex. The walls were covered with more symbols, and Maya noticed they became more urgent and chaotic as she walked further in. Whatever the Zephyrians had been trying to record here, it had been important enough to preserve in their most durable materials. Maya reached the heart of the chamber and stopped. In front of her stood a massive crystal formation that pulsed with soft blue light. It was clearly some kind of data storage system, much more advanced than anything humans had developed. She approached it carefully and activated her translation software. "Jake, I'm at what looks like their main archive. The crystal is responding to my scanner. I think it's trying to communicate." "Be careful down there," Jake warned. "We don't know what kind of security systems they might have had." Maya connected her portable interface to the crystal formation. Immediately, streams of data began flowing across her helmet display. The translation software worked frantically to convert the alien language into something she could understand. Most of it was corrupted or too complex for the system to handle, but fragments began to make sense. "Warning. Danger." The third world of Sol. Maya frowned and adjusted the interface connection. More text appeared on her screen, clearer this time. "They sleep, but they dream of fire. They dream of conquest. When the blue world wakes, all things die." A chill ran down Maya's spine despite the warmth of her environmental suit. The third world of Sol was Earth. Her Earth. But why would an alien civilization that had been dead for millions of years leave warnings about her home planet? She continued reading as more text translated successfully. The message was repeating, over and over, as if the Zephyrians had been desperate to make sure someone would eventually find it and understand. "Beware the children of the sleeping world. They spread across the stars like seeds of destruction. They do not know what they are. They do not know what they serve." Maya's hands shook as she recorded everything. The implications were terrifying. According to this message, Earth wasn't just another planet. It was something dangerous, something that other civilizations feared enough to leave warnings about it with their dying breath. "Maya, your readings are spiking down there. What are you finding?" She tried to keep her voice steady. "Jake, I need you to contact Dr. Carter back on Earth. Tell him to start looking through our files on extinct civilizations. Tell him to look for any references to Sol system or Earth specifically." "What kind of references?" "Warnings. I think we're going to find more of these." Maya spent another hour in the chamber, copying every piece of data she could access. The crystal archive contained millions of years of Zephyrian history, but the warnings about Earth appeared throughout their records. The messages became more frequent toward the end of their civilization, as if they had encountered something that made them increasingly desperate to warn others. The final entry was the most disturbing. It was a single line, repeated thousands of times in the crystal matrix. "It is not sleeping anymore." When Maya finally returned to the Phoenix Dawn, she found Jake waiting for her in the main lab. His face was grim, and she knew he had been thinking about what she had discovered. "I contacted Carter like you asked," Jake said. "He's already started looking through the archives. Maya, he found something in the Altarian ruins we studied last year. A warning about a dreaming world in the Sol system." Maya sat down heavily in her chair. How many other civilizations have we studied, Jake? 47 dead races across 12 different star systems. We need to check all of them. Every single archaeological site we've ever visited. If I'm right, if Earth is somehow connected to all these extinctions, then we need to know what we're dealing with. Jake activated the ship's communication array and opened a channel to Earth. The message would take 3 hours to reach home, but Maya knew they couldn't wait. Whatever the Zephyrians had been trying to warn about, it was still out there. Over the next several days, as the Phoenix Dawn traveled back toward Earth, reports began coming in from archaeological teams across human space. Dr. Carter's initial findings had sparked a massive review of every alien artifact and ruin in human possession. The results were consistent and terrifying. Every single extinct civilization they had encountered had left warnings about Earth. The specific details varied, but the message was always the same. Earth was dangerous. Earth was waiting. Earth was not what it appeared to be. Maya spent sleepless nights reviewing the data. The Altarians, who had controlled 17 star systems before vanishing 2 million years ago, had called Earth the patient hunter. The Vegan collective had referred to it as the world that dreams of feeding. The Centauri Federation's final transmission had been a desperate plea for all ships to avoid the Sol system at all costs. But the most disturbing discovery came from the oldest ruins they had on file. On a dead world orbiting Proxima Centauri, human archaeologists had found traces of a civilization that had existed over 4 million years ago. Their warning was carved into solid bedrock, as if they had wanted to make absolutely sure it would survive. The blue world sleeps in the light of the yellow star. It has always slept. It has always waited. When it wakes, it will eat the galaxy. Maya stared at the photograph of the carving until her eyes burned. 4 million years ago, long before humans had even evolved on Earth, an alien civilization had looked at her home planet and seen something worth warning the entire galaxy about. "Jake," she called to the captain, who was reviewing navigation charts nearby. "How long have humans been keeping records of our planet's history?" "Written history? Maybe 6,000 years. Geological records go back millions of years, though." "Why?" "I want to see Earth's extinction records. Every major die-off, every mass extinction event. And I want to cross-reference them with the dates these civilizations went extinct." Jake looked at her with concern. "Maya, what are you thinking?" She turned back to the alien warnings displayed on her screen. Dozens of civilizations, spanning millions of years, all leaving the same desperate message about Earth. All of them, dead now, with no clear explanation for why they had vanished. "I'm thinking we need to find out what Earth really is, Jake. Because if these warnings are true, then we've been living on something that's been pretending to be our home for our entire history as a species." The Phoenix Dawn continued its journey, back to Earth, carrying with it the most disturbing discovery in human history. As Maya watched the stars pass by through the observation deck, she couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere behind them, Earth was no longer sleeping as deeply as it had been before. Dr. Ben Carter rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the screen surrounding his desk. He had been working for 18 hours straight, and the coffee had stopped helping 3 hours ago. Around him, the Global Archaeological Institute buzzed with activity even though it was past midnight. Word of Maya's discovery had spread quickly through the scientific community, and now every expert on dead civilizations was working to understand what they had missed. Lisa Park rolled her chair over to Ben's workstation. Her computer specialist skills had proven invaluable in organizing the massive amount of data they were processing. "I've finished cross-referencing the Centauri warnings with our geological records," she said, handing him a tablet. "Ben, you need to see this." Ben took the tablet and scrolled through Lisa's findings. The Centauri Federation had gone extinct roughly 500,000 years ago. According to Earth's geological records, that was exactly when the last major ice age had ended. The timing was too precise to be a coincidence. "Show me the Altarian data," Ben said quietly. Lisa pulled up another file. The Altarian Empire had vanished 2 million years ago, right around the time when early human ancestors had first started using tools. The Vegan collective had died out during the period when the first human cities were being built. It's like Earth's development is connected to their extinctions, Lisa said. Every time one of these civilizations dies out, something significant happens in human evolution or Earth's geological history. Ben stood up and walked to the large display wall where they had mapped out all the alien warnings. 47 extinct civilizations spread across millions of years, all leaving identical messages about Earth being dangerous. The pattern was becoming clear, and it made him sick to think about what it might mean. Dr. Alex Stone entered the lab carrying a stack of printouts and looking excited despite the late hour. As the team's marine biologist, he had been tasked with investigating whether Earth's oceans showed any unusual characteristics that might explain the warnings. "I found something incredible," Alex announced, spreading his papers across a nearby table. "I've been using quantum resonance imaging to study the deep ocean formations, and the results are impossible to explain naturally." Ben and Lisa gathered around the table as Alex pointed to a series of images showing the ocean floor. The pictures looked normal at first glance, but Alex highlighted certain areas with a red marker. "Look at the mid-Atlantic ridge," Alex said. "According to our textbooks, it's a natural formation caused by tectonic plate movement, but when you examine it with quantum imaging, you can see geometric patterns that are too regular to be natural. The entire ridge system follows mathematical ratios that don't occur in nature." He pulled out more images showing the Pacific Ring of Fire, the ocean trenches around Japan, and the underwater mountain ranges near Antarctica. All of them showed the same artificial patterns when viewed through quantum resonance. "It's not just one or two formations," Alex continued. "The entire ocean floor appears to be artificially constructed. The tectonic plate system, the underwater ridges, even the deep ocean trenches. They're all connected in a pattern that looks like machinery." Lisa leaned closer to examine the images. "Machinery for what?" "I don't know yet, but it's massive. We're talking about structures that span entire ocean basins. If this is artificial, then whoever built it had technology far beyond anything we can imagine." Ben felt a cold realization settling in his stomach. "Alex, how deep do these structures go?" "That's the really disturbing part. As far as I can scan, the quantum resonance is picking up organized structures all the way down to the Earth's core. It's like the entire planet is one giant machine." The three scientists stared at each other in silence. The implications were staggering. If Earth itself was artificial, then everything they knew about their planet's history was wrong. More importantly, it would explain why so many alien civilizations had left warnings about Earth. Ben's computer chimed with an incoming message from Maya aboard the Phoenix Dawn. Her face appeared on the screen, and she looked as exhausted as they felt. "Ben, we've found more warnings," Maya said without preamble. "Jake contacted some of our colleagues at other archaeological sites, and they're all reporting the same thing. Every alien ruin contains references to Earth being dangerous." "Maya, we need to talk about what we've found here," Ben replied. "Alex has discovered that Earth's geology might not be natural. The entire planet could be artificial." Maya's face went pale. "That would explain something we found in the Zephyrian archives. They had records of Earth's position and orbital characteristics from 3 million years ago. According to their data, Earth wasn't in the Sol system back then." The room fell silent. Lisa was the first to speak. "You're saying Earth moved here?" "That's exactly what I'm saying. The Zephyrians tracked Earth's movement across several star systems over millions of years. They called it the Wandering Hunter in their records." Ben sat down heavily in his chair. A planet that moved between star systems with artificial geology and a history that coincided with the extinction of multiple alien civilizations. The pattern was becoming horrifyingly clear. "There's something else," Maya continued. "We found references to Earth's feeding cycles in the Zephyrian data. According to their records, Earth would arrive in a star system, stay for several million years while life developed on its surface, then move on to the next system. Each time it left, the civilizations that had studied it would go extinct shortly. Afterward, Alex spread out more of his ocean floor images. If Earth is some kind of artificial construct, a machine disguised as a planet, then these ocean structures could be its organs. The tectonic activity, the magnetic field, Even the atmosphere could all be artificially maintained. Lisa pulled up the extinction timeline on her computer. Look at this pattern. Every time one of these alien civilizations encounters Earth, they flourish for a while. Their technology advances rapidly. Then they suddenly vanish, usually within a few thousand years of first contact. It's like Earth helps them develop, Ben said slowly, then consumes them somehow. Maya's image nodded grimly. The Zephyrians called it the nurturing trap. Earth would appear to be a perfect world for colonization or study. Civilizations would send their best scientists and explorers. Earth would seem to help their development, sharing resources and providing ideal conditions for advancement. Then what? Lisa asked. Then Earth would reveal its true nature and feed on everything they had built. Their knowledge, their technology, possibly even their life force. The Zephyrians believed that Earth stored the accumulated knowledge of every civilization it had consumed over millions of years. Ben stood up and walked to the window overlooking the city. Outside, millions of people were going about their normal lives, completely unaware that their planet might be a cosmic predator that had been using humanity for purposes they couldn't begin to understand. Maya, there's something we need to test, Ben said. If Earth has been consuming civilizations for millions of years, and if it's been guiding human development, then there should be evidence in our DNA. What kind of evidence? Artificial modifications, genetic markers that don't fit with natural evolution. If Earth has been using us as tools or caretakers, it would need to modify us to serve its purposes. Alex looked up from his ocean floor data. I can contact the genetics lab at the university. They have equipment that can detect artificial genetic sequences. Do it, Ben said. And Lisa, I want you to run a search through every database we have access to. Look for any historical records of unusual geological activity that might correspond to these extinction dates. What are you going to do? Maya asked. Ben turned back to the screen. I'm going to start mapping Earth's previous locations. If the Zephyrians were right about Earth moving between star systems, then there should be other civilizations that encountered it. We need to find out how many species Earth has consumed, and more importantly, we need to figure out what its next target might be. As the team dispersed to begin their research, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against time. If Earth really was some kind of cosmic predator, and if it was beginning to stir after millions of years of dormancy, then humanity might be running out of time to discover the truth about their homeworld. Outside his window, the city lights twinkled peacefully under the stars, but Ben now wondered if those lights were actually feeding something vast and hungry that lay sleeping beneath their feet. The first sign that something had changed came at 3:47 a.m. Pacific time, when every seismic monitoring station on Earth recorded the same impossible reading. Dr. Karen Lee was working the night shift at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory when the Q alert started flooding her computer screen. The seismic waves weren't random. They pulsed in a steady rhythm, like a massive heartbeat coming from deep beneath the Earth's crust. Karen had been monitoring earthquakes for 12 years, and she had never seen anything like it. The pulses were synchronized across the entire planet, emanating from the core itself. She called her supervisor immediately. Dr. Harrison, you need to see this. Every seismic station from Alaska to Antarctica is picking up the same signal. What kind of signal? Dr. Harrison asked, his voice thick with sleep. It's rhythmic, like a heartbeat, but it's coming from the Earth's core, and it's getting stronger. Within an hour, emergency meetings were being called at scientific institutions around the world. The seismic anomaly was impossible to explain using conventional geology. The Earth's core was solid iron and nickel, heated to thousands of degrees. It couldn't produce organized rhythmic vibrations, but that wasn't the most disturbing discovery. At the same moment the seismic pulses began, Earth's magnetic field started shifting in patterns that defied every known law of physics. Karen watched in horror as her instrument showed the magnetic poles moving in slow, deliberate circles, as if something was stretching and testing the planet's electromagnetic systems. President Sam Houston was awakened at 4:30 a.m. with news that every major scientific organization was reporting the same phenomenon. Emergency protocols were activated, and within hours a crisis team was assembled at the Pentagon. "Ladies and gentlemen," the president said to the room full of scientists and military officials, "I need to know what we're dealing with. Is this connected to the archaeological discoveries about the alien warnings?" Dr. Carter, who had been flown in from the Global Archaeological Institute, stood up with a grim expression. "Mr. President, based on our research over the past week, we believe the seismic activity is a response to our discovery of the warnings. Something knows that we know." General Patricia Moore, the head of the Joint Chiefs, leaned forward. "Are you saying the planet is alive?" "We're saying the planet is artificial," Carter replied. "Our analysis suggests that Earth is not a natural world. It's a construct, possibly a vehicle or organism that has been dormant for millions of years." Before anyone could respond, every person in the room suddenly stopped talking. They all had the same expression of confusion and fear, as if they were experiencing something no one else could see. The dream came to all of them at once. They saw Earth from space, but not as the blue marble they knew from photographs. This Earth was covered in massive structures that pulsed with organic light. Continent-sized organs beat like hearts beneath the surface. The oceans weren't water, but some kind of fluid that flowed through channels carved in the planet's flesh. In the dream, they understood that humanity had never been Earth's children. They were its caretakers, genetically modified and guided to maintain the planet's systems while it slept. Every human achievement, every technological advancement had been subtly influenced to serve Earth's needs. The dream lasted only minutes, but when it ended, everyone in the room understood that Earth was no longer sleeping as deeply as it had been. Something had awakened it, and it was beginning to remember what it was. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Davis was 3 miles underwater in the Mariana Trench when his sonar equipment started showing impossible readings. The research station Deep Explorer had been monitoring the ocean floor for signs of unusual activity when the instruments began detecting movement below. "Base, this is Deep Explorer," Chris radioed to the surface. "We're getting readings of massive, structural changes on the ocean floor. It looks like something is rising from the trench." The response from the surface was filled with static, but Chris could make out the urgency in the voice. "Deep Explorer, you need to surface immediately. We're detecting seismic activity in your area." Chris looked at his sonar display and felt his blood turn cold. The ocean floor wasn't just moving, it was opening. Massive sections of what he had thought was solid rock were splitting apart, revealing chambers and passages that extended far deeper than his instruments could scan. "Base, the trench is opening up. I can see structures down there. They're huge, bigger than cities, and they're glowing." Before the surface team could respond, Chris's sonar picked up something that made him question his sanity. The structures, rising from the ocean floor, were moving in coordination, like parts of a single massive organism, and they were heading toward the surface. "Base, I'm coming up now. Whatever is down there, it's active and it's coming toward us." As the Deep Explorer began its emergency ascent, Chris watched through the observation windows as lights began appearing in the depths below. The lights were arranged in patterns that looked almost like neural networks, stretching across the ocean floor as far as he could see. Back on the surface, Dr. Rebecca Foster was analyzing the genetic test results that had come back from laboratories around the world. The findings were consistent and terrifying. Human DNA contained artificial modifications that dated back millions of years, far longer than humans had existed as a species. The modifications weren't random. They were purposeful, designed to enhance certain traits while suppressing others. Humans had been engineered to be intelligent enough to develop technology, but not intelligent enough to question their environment. They had been modified to be curious about the stars, but to always return to Earth as their home base. Most disturbing of all, the genetic modifications included dormant sequences that could only be activated by specific environmental triggers. Rebecca realized that humans weren't just Earth's caretakers. They were its tools, designed to activate when Earth needed them to perform specific functions. "Dr. Foster," her assistant called from across the lab, "we're getting reports from around the world. People are experiencing shared dreams about Earth being alive." Rebecca looked up from her genetic analysis. "Shared dreams?" "Identical dreams. Millions of people all having the same vision at the same time. They're seeing Earth as some kind of living organism, and humans as its symbiotic partners. Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. If Earth was beginning to communicate directly with human minds, then it was becoming active in ways they hadn't anticipated. The planet wasn't just waking up. It was starting to interact with its caretakers. Her computer chimed with an incoming message from Commander Ryan Brooks, who was overseeing humanity's deep space monitoring stations. His face appeared on her screen and he looked shaken. "Rebecca, we have a problem. Our long-range sensors are detecting changes in Earth's orbital mechanics. The planet is beginning to shift its position relative to the sun." "What kind of shift?" "It's subtle, but consistent. Earth is slowly moving outward from its current orbit. At this rate, it will leave the habitable zone within a few years." Rebecca stared at the screen in horror. If Earth was preparing to leave the solar system, then everything the alien warnings had said was true. Earth was a wandering predator that moved between star systems and it was getting ready to hunt again. "Ryan, what about our space colonies? Mars, the moon bases, the stations around Jupiter?" "That's what worries me. All of our expansion into space has been following specific patterns. When I map out our colonial routes and planned exploration missions, they all point toward the same region of the galaxy. The Vega system, Alpha Centauri, Wolf 359. All systems with known intelligent life." The realization hit Rebecca like a physical blow. Humanity's expansion into space hadn't been driven by curiosity or a desire for resources. They had been unconsciously scouting feeding grounds for Earth's next hunting cycle. "Ryan, we need to contact every human settlement outside of Earth immediately. If Earth is preparing to leave, we need to know whether our colonies will survive without it." As she closed the communication channel, Rebecca looked out the window at the sky. The sun looked the same as it always had, but she now knew that Earth was slowly pulling away from it. Somewhere beneath her feet, a cosmic predator was stirring after millions of years of sleep, and humanity was about to discover whether they were its partners or its next meal. The dreams continued around the world. In the visions, people saw themselves working together to prepare Earth for its journey. They saw massive construction projects spanning continents, technologies that could reshape entire worlds, and fleets of ships carrying Earth's influence to distant stars. But they also saw the ruins of previous civilizations, the worlds that Earth had consumed, and the warnings that had been left behind. For the first time in human history, people began to question whether their loyalty belonged to their home planet or to the galaxy that planet was preparing to devour. The truth came to Dr. Rebecca Foster in the middle of the night, 3 days after the shared dreams had begun. She was alone in her lab, staring at genetic sequences that had been hidden in human DNA for millions of years. When the pieces finally fell into place, humans weren't native to Earth. They never had been. The genetic evidence was overwhelming once she knew what to look for. Human DNA contained traces of dozens of different species from across the galaxy. Not random mixing, but careful engineering. Someone had taken the best qualities from multiple intelligent races and combined them into a single perfect species. Rebecca's hands shook as she pulled up the comparison data. The creativity came from the Altarians. The technical skills were from the Vegan Collective. The adaptability was from the Centauri Federation. Every extinct civilization that had left warnings about Earth had also contributed genetic material to humanity's creation. The phone rang, startling her out of her analysis. It was Dr. Carter calling from the Archaeological Institute. "Rebecca, we've decoded more of the Zephyrian archives," he said without greeting. "You need to hear this. Earth isn't just a predator, it's a collector." "What do you mean?" "The Zephyrians called it the Gatherer. According to their records, Earth doesn't just consume civilizations, it preserves them. It takes their knowledge, their abilities, their essence, and combines them into new forms. The species it creates become tools for hunting the next civilization." Rebecca looked at her genetic analysis with new understanding. "Ben, I think humans are Earth's masterpiece. We're not just one species. We're a combination of every intelligent race Earth has ever encountered. That would explain why we developed so quickly. Most species take millions of years to develop. Space travel. Humans did it in just a few thousand years. Because we already had the knowledge, Rebecca said. It was built into our genes. We didn't discover technology. We remembered it. She pulled up more data on her screen. The genetic modifications in human DNA weren't just random improvements. They were specific adaptations designed for space travel, for establishing colonies, for making contact with other intelligent species. Humans had been engineered to be the perfect ambassadors for Earth's hunting expeditions. Ben, there's something else. The genetic modifications include dormant sequences that can only be activated by specific triggers. I think Earth has been controlling human development from the beginning. What kind of triggers? Environmental changes, specific technologies, even psychological states. When Earth needs us to perform certain functions, it activates the appropriate genetic sequences. A new voice joined the call. It was Commander Ryan Brooks speaking from the Mars colony. Rebecca? Ben, we have a situation up here. The colonists are changing. Changing how? Rebecca asked. Physically. Their muscle mass is increasing. Their reflexes are getting faster. Some of them are developing enhanced senses. It's like their bodies are adapting for something. Rebecca felt a chill of understanding. Ryan, Earth is preparing to leave the solar system. It's activating the genetic sequences that will help humans survive in space and establish new colonies. That's not all, Ryan continued. The colonists are also experiencing new memories. They're remembering technologies they never learned, languages they never studied. It's like they're accessing information that was stored in their genes. Rebecca realized the full scope of what was happening. Earth wasn't just waking up. It was preparing its human tools for the next phase of its existence. The genetic modifications were turning humans into perfect servants for a cosmic predator. Ryan, how many people are affected? It's spreading. Everyone who was born on Mars or in the space colonies is showing the changes. The people who are still on Earth seem to be unaffected so far. Dr. Foster began working frantically on her computer, pulling up data from colonies throughout the solar system. The pattern was clear. Humans who lived away from Earth were developing abilities that would make them perfect for interstellar travel and colonization. They were becoming something new, something designed for Earth's purposes. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, the changes were different but equally disturbing. The shared dreams were becoming more frequent and more detailed. People were beginning to understand their role as Earth's caretakers, and many of them were accepting it willingly. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Davis, now back on the surface, after his encounter in the Mariana Trench, was monitoring the ongoing geological changes. The structures he had seen rising from the ocean floor were now visible on satellite imagery. Massive formations that looked like organs or machinery were emerging from the deepest parts of the ocean. It's like the planet is turning itself inside out, Chris reported to the Emergency Command Center. The structures are connected by what looks like a circulatory system spanning the entire ocean floor. Dr. Alex Stone, who was analyzing the ocean data, had made an even more disturbing discovery. The ocean chemistry is changing. The water is becoming more alkaline and it's developing electrical conductivity. It's like the entire ocean is becoming a single giant nerve system. For what purpose? Asked General Moore. Communication and control, Alex replied. If Earth is a living organism, then it needs a nervous system to coordinate its activities. The oceans are becoming that nervous system. The implications were staggering. If Earth was developing a planetary nervous system, then it would have unprecedented control over its surface and everything living on it. Humans wouldn't just be tools. They would be extensions of Earth's consciousness. Dr. Carter called in with another update from the archaeological team. We've found the final piece of the puzzle. The Zephyrians left detailed records about Earth's life cycle. It doesn't just hunt civilizations. It has a specific purpose. What purpose? Rebecca asked. It's building something. Each civilization it encounters adds to a greater design. The Zephyrians believe that Earth was created by an even older race, something that existed before the galaxy formed. Earth's job is to collect and preserve the knowledge of every intelligent species it encounters. Preserve it for what? for the end of the universe. The Zephyrians thought Earth was preparing for the eventual heat death of the cosmos. By collecting and combining the knowledge of every civilization, it would have the resources to survive even that. Rebecca felt a moment of vertigo as she understood the scope of what they were dealing with. Earth wasn't just a predator, it was a guardian, preserving the essence of every intelligent species against the ultimate extinction of everything. But that still doesn't explain why it consumes civilizations instead of working with them, she said. According to the Zephyrians, Earth tried cooperation in the beginning. But intelligent species are too diverse, too conflicted. They can't work together on the scale Earth needs. So it developed a different approach. It creates its own species, Rebecca said, understanding dawning on her. It takes the best qualities from each race it encounters and combines them into something new. Something that will serve its purpose without question. Exactly. And humans are its latest creation. We're designed to be perfect servants for Earth's mission. The conversation was interrupted by alarms going off throughout the command center. On the main screen, satellite imagery showed massive changes occurring across Earth's surface. The continents were shifting, but not randomly. They were moving into new configurations that looked almost like organs. "My God," whispered Dr. Stone. "The entire planet is reorganizing itself." Commander Brooks called in from Mars with urgent news. Earth's gravitational field is changing. It's pulling away from the sun, but it's also starting to emit its own energy. The planet is becoming self-sufficient. Rebecca realized they were witnessing something that happened only once every few million years. Earth was transforming from a dormant world into an active interstellar organism, and humanity was about to discover whether they were willing partners in this transformation or simply tools to be used and discarded. "How long do we have before Earth leaves the solar system?" she asked. "Based on current rates of change, maybe 6 months," Ryan replied. "But Rebecca, there's something else. The genetic changes in the colonists are accelerating. They're not just adapting for space travel. They're becoming something that can survive without Earth entirely." "You mean some humans might be able to break free?" "I mean, some humans might be designed to break free. Earth might be creating its own opposition just in case its main plan fails." As Rebecca looked at the genetic data one more time, she realized that humanity's greatest test wasn't just beginning. It had been built into their DNA from the moment they were created. Earth had given them the tools to serve it, but it had also given them the ability to choose their own path. The question was whether they would use that ability, or whether they would accept their role as willing servants of a cosmic guardian that was older than their entire civilization. The choice came to humanity on a Tuesday morning when Earth stopped pretending to be a normal planet. Dr. Maya Collins watched from the observation deck of the Phoenix Dawn as her home world revealed its true form. The continents were moving like puzzle pieces, rearranging themselves into configurations that made her stomach turn. What had once been Europe was now part of a massive organic structure that pulsed with veins of light. The Pacific Ocean had drained into underground chambers, revealing a network of tunnels and organs that stretched for thousands of miles. Earth was beautiful in a terrifying way. It was also clearly alive, and it was preparing to leave. "Maya, we're receiving a transmission," Captain Jake Morrison called from the bridge. "It's not coming from any human facility. It's coming from Earth itself." Maya hurried to the communication station where Jake was staring at the display in amazement. The message was appearing in every human language simultaneously, scrolling across their screens in perfect translation. "Children of the gathered knowledge, the time has come for the next phase of preservation. You have been prepared for this moment across thousands of generations. The journey to Alpha Centauri will begin in 72 hours. Prepare your colonies and vessels for departure." "It's talking to all of humanity," Jake said quietly. "This message is being broadcast to every human settlement in the solar system." Maya felt a chill as she realized the implications. Earth wasn't asking for human cooperation. It was announcing its plans and expecting humanity to follow. After millions of years of subtle guidance, Earth was finally giving direct orders. On Mars, Commander Ryan Brooks was dealing with a different kind of crisis. The genetic changes in the colonists had accelerated dramatically since Earth's announcement. People were developing new abilities at an alarming rate. Some could survive in vacuum without protection. Others could process information at superhuman speeds. A few had developed the ability to communicate telepathically across vast distances. "Commander, we need to make a decision," Dr. Sarah Kim said as she entered the command center. As the Mars colony's lead scientist, she had been monitoring the changes in the population. "The people are splitting into two groups." "What do you mean?" "About half of them are embracing the changes. They say they can feel Earth calling to them, and they want to help with its mission. The other half are fighting the genetic modifications. They're trying to remain purely human." Ryan looked out at the Martian landscape through the dome's windows. Mars had been humanity's first real attempt at independence from Earth, but now it seemed like even that had been part of Earth's plan all along. What happens to the ones who are fighting the changes? Some of them are succeeding. They're finding ways to suppress the genetic modifications, but it's causing physical stress. A few have died from the strain. Ryan realized they were witnessing the moment that would define humanity's future. Earth had given them enhanced abilities and cosmic purpose, but it had also given them the ability to reject both. The question was whether enough humans would choose independence to make it matter. On Earth itself, the situation was becoming increasingly chaotic. President Sam Houston had called for emergency sessions of the United Nations, but many world leaders were no longer responding to traditional government authority. They were receiving direct communication from Earth and felt compelled to follow its guidance instead. Dr. Ben Carter and his team at the Global Archaeological Institute had become the unofficial center of the human resistance. Their research into the alien warnings had revealed not just Earth's nature, but also potential weaknesses in its control over humanity. "We found something in the Centauri archives," Ben announced to a room full of scientists and military officials who still retained their independence. "The Centauri Federation tried to fight back against Earth's influence. They failed, but they left us a blueprint." Lisa Park pulled up the Centauri data on the main screen. They discovered that Earth's consciousness exists in quantum fields, generated by its core. The whole planet is essentially one massive quantum computer, and that's how it controls biological systems. "Can we disrupt it?" asked General Moore, who had become the de facto leader of the human resistance. The Centauri tried using electromagnetic pulses, but Earth's defenses were too strong. However, they discovered something interesting. Earth's control weakens significantly when it's in motion between star systems. Dr. Rebecca Foster, who had been analyzing the genetic modifications, spoke up from her workstation. "That explains why the colonists are developing independence. The further they get from Earth, the weaker its influence becomes. Earth designed us to be independent when we're operating in other star systems." "You mean Earth actually wants some humans to resist?" General Moore asked. "Not exactly," Rebecca replied. "I think Earth created us with the potential for independence, as a backup plan. If something happens to Earth during its travels, the independent colonies can survive and continue its mission." Ben realized the implications immediately. So Earth didn't just create the perfect servants, it created the perfect rebels too. We have all the knowledge and abilities of the previous civilizations, but we also have the capacity to use those gifts against our Creator. The room fell silent as everyone processed what that meant. Humanity had been given the tools to serve Earth, but also the tools to destroy it. The choice was entirely theirs. Dr. Alex Stone burst into the room with urgent news. "Earth's core is beginning to destabilize. The quantum fields are fluctuating. I think it's preparing to generate the energy needed for interstellar travel." "How long do we have?" General Moore asked. "Maybe 48 hours before it begins moving toward Alpha Centauri." Lisa pulled up a star chart showing Earth's likely trajectory. If Earth reaches the Alpha Centauri system, there are 3 planets with intelligent life. Based on the pattern we've seen, those civilizations will be consumed within a few thousand years. The weight of the decision settled on everyone in the room. They could allow Earth to continue its cosmic mission, preserving the knowledge of the galaxy against the eventual end of the universe. Or they could try to stop it, knowing that failure would likely mean the extinction of humanity. "What about our space colonies?" Rebecca asked. "If we fight Earth and lose, what happens to the people who are already independent?" Commander Brooks answered through the communication system from Mars. "We've been discussing that. The enhanced humans are developing the ability to survive independently. Some of them are already talking about establishing colonies in other star systems, away from Earth's influence. So humanity might survive even if Earth is destroyed. Some humans might survive. The question is whether they'll still be human, in any meaningful sense, or whether they'll become something else entirely." General Moore stood up and addressed the room. "We need to put this to a vote. Not just among the people in this room, but among every human settlement that still has independence. This decision affects our entire species." Over the next 24 hours, a desperate communication network was established between all the human colonies that were resisting Earth's influence. The debate was intense and emotional. Some argued that humanity should accept its role as Earth's partners, helping to preserve galactic civilization for eternity. Others insisted that freedom was more important than survival, and that humanity had the right to choose its own destiny. The final vote was close. 53% of the independent human settlements chose to resist Earth's control. The remaining 47% decided to remain loyal to their home planet. Dr. Carter coordinated the resistance plan. Using the combined knowledge from all the extinct civilizations, they would attempt to disrupt Earth's quantum field generators just as the planet was beginning its journey to Alpha Centauri. The plan was dangerous and would likely destroy Earth's technological systems, but it might also free humanity from millions of years of genetic programming. As Earth began its final preparations for departure, humanity made its choice. They would fight for the right to determine their own future, even if it meant destroying the world that had created them. The battle for humanity's soul was about to begin, and the outcome would echo across the galaxy for millions of years to come. Whether they won or lost, humanity would never be the same. They had chosen freedom over security, uncertainty over purpose, and the right to make their own mistakes over the promise of cosmic significance. In the end, that choice might be the most human thing they had ever done.